7:30 at 7 o'clock, not 7:30, and I'll call the meeting to order. The meeting is duly constituted with a quorum present. First order of business: adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion? Second. Ads.
I have
Pam?
7B, inclusions with property tax billing.
What's that about?
Just discussing what's going to go in the property tax bill.
Is there a report?
No,
So you're going to be laying it on council for the first time?
I don't think anything will be a surprise. It's literally just, yeah, I'll discuss it when I get there. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Just so that council knows, Pam would prefer that we don't provide the infrastructure survey in the tax bill, although I have discussed this with Peter ad infinitum and frequently and for a long time. I just don't want council to be blindsided by something they haven't been privy to the correspondence on, which, as I say, has been going on for about 6 months. So I'll allow it, but I'll cut it off if it's not heading in the right direction.
Okay, and that is just a very small piece of it. It's just,
Okay,
we'll discuss it when it comes. But also, to be fair, council hasn't seen any discussions about, I think, what's going into the property tax billing. So I think it's important we discuss it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I would prefer for them to have been briefed and had time to absorb it. So we may not be making a decision on that one today, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. What number was that again?
7B.
Property tax bill. There's an item add in correspondence 11R1. That is here. So we'll just pause for people to quickly review that before they decide if they want to include it in the agenda or not. You've seen it. Anything else? Everybody good on the ads? You know what we're talking about? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, and a second. And all in favor? And opposed? There's no public participation and no public delegations. We'll approve the minutes of the previous meeting. That was the meeting of the 24th. Uh, 10C on page 11 of the package. I'm not aware of the Ministry of Healthy Living and Sport Environment. So what is that? Anybody know?
What? 11C?
10C.
10C.
Sean, did you send to,
Yeah.
and it's the Ministry of Healthy,
Yeah.
is that correct?
I have to go look myself. I don't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure it's not called that. It was on the bylaw, if you remember, but we don't have that in this package. So, and I didn't bring my other one, to be honest.
No, it's not here.
So maybe just leave, just check that name.
Yeah.
Amended. I can't remember, and I didn't go and listen to the tape, but if I did, I think I was opposed to item 8B1, recommendations to council. Siya de Jong provided verbal response to some of the itemized requests from Mayor Burr, or did I say in the end I was satisfied with that? I think I did in the end. Okay, scrap that. Yeah. Okay, and then on page 13, the meeting was reopened to the public at 12:02. Midnight sounds too vague, but it was 12:02 because that's when we came out of closed. And then the third paragraph in section 15, and that for information purposes, the low bid on the original tender was all that stuff. It's a little hard to understand, but because it was a motion and a resolved motion, I'm not going to change the wording, but Pam, I seem to remember that there was some issue with the numbers as reported in the meeting. So are these the corrected numbers or the...
No, the numbers weren't incorrect. These were the correct numbers. They were just confusing because they included a contingency. So when we actually sent the letters to the unsuccessful bidders, we put in the numbers that they had bid, just for clarity.
Okay, so this one is 204,407, including the 10% contingency. Other ones are not including the contingency?
They're not, but there's also the original bid, because these were the adjusted bids by
Yeah.
Prius. Sorry, go ahead.
So the dollar amounts that Peter read off were the base bid plus the contingency plus 10 hours of additional equipment use.
Okay. So these I guess all I'm asking is, these numbers are correct?
Yes,
They
sir.
are-
They're
They
correct.
reflect the actual bid?
They do reflect the final bid, yeah.
Okay. That's all I have. Anybody else? Okay, do we have a motion? Not yet. Motion to approve these minutes as amended, and a second. All in favour? Opposed? Carried. I believe there's no business arising, so we'll move to unfinished business.
Can I ask a question?
Mm.
Then business horizon. On the public delegation of this, I mean, it's Bedford, was Stafford, how that event went? Was it trouble-free? Was there any complaints?
We haven't had any complaints. I haven't heard how it went, but we received no complaints.
Oh, okay. I was quite impressed with the presentation, very responsible.
I drove by, I didn't go in, I thought that would be uncool, but everything,
Jesus, the mayor. Yeah.
worse, a dad.
And a mayor.
So, yeah, I think it
Yeah, okay.
went off great. Okay, unfinished business. Nothing's happened on 32. 34 is under work, and I'll have more to report when we get to that agenda item. I don't know what's happening on 38. The letter went out. We're going to give 3 readings to the bylaw that pertains to that, park hours, and I presume that if there's vehement objection, Pam,
Yes, that
we'll not
was-
adopt, or
yeah.
we'll rescind third reading,
Okay.
amend.
Peter sent a request from Europe that we do the 3 readings. We've acknowledged in the report that there is a letter out there asking for response. We'd hold it, but then when we got the response back, we could just go straight to adoption and get it done quickly.
Okay, I wanted to be very sure to the public that we're not
Mhm.
doing this anyway. So how do we do that? I'll make a mention of it in the thing.
I think it's mentioned in the cover. Shauna wrote the report, but it's mentioned in the cover of the report as
Yeah,
well.
but nobody
and we
reads
can
this
bring-
stuff. It's, we'll put it in the Friday piece. Okay, so, Mayor's message, mention park hours.
Actually, on that note, we also wondered that taking excerpts from the letter and just doing a separate thing in the village update as
Mhm,
well.
good, yeah,
And then
I-
that way encouraging, asking people to write in, even who aren't in the area. And then we can also mention
Please,
that
let's
time
do
that
that.
went out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So excerpts from letter as a separate piece, yeah.
And on
good.
that note, the letter has gone out. It was
Yeah.
mailed to all the addresses sort of within the affected radius, and they went out last week.
Okay, yeah, that's in the report. That sounds good. Okay, Cannabis Report, that's still coming, but that was only last meeting. A report on TUPS and enforcement, nothing there.
So
Right.
that's
So
right.
We've set a date for that, though.
The June 5th meeting?
We did? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Appointment of Glenn Dennison, that went out. I spoke to, Fred, you remember her name always. It's not Alicia, but Ilaria
Library? Yeah.
from DFO. And I actually saw Glenn yesterday reporting orcas between Pam Rocks and Anvil. I didn't see the orcas. I went out there in a big hurry, but I didn't see them. And that I don't even remember what that is, to be honest. I do now. I haven't done it. I will. I'll do that first thing. Just so the council knows, I'm going to the Lower Mainland LGA starting tomorrow to sponsor the ASOD thing and just to press the flesh. Should be complete boondoggle. So let's do this one. Okay,
Too much information.
I don't
Okay.
think we use that term anymore, either.
I think so.
I use that term to mean waste of time, but I have to go to sponsor the
Yes.
motion. So. The other ad, property bill. Pam.
Yes, so it's really more administrative. The property tax bill, I'm doing an inventory of what all has to go in the mailing, and I'm concerned we're not going to have enough room. We've got the property tax bill, we've got the 2 new parking passes, we'll have the property tax brochure, parking pass instructions, because I think it's going to be important to say people will immediately recognize it's a different type of pass. We've talked about this, just explaining where it has to be affixed. A ticket will be given if the pass is not in the right place.
So, about that, the instructions are very clear on the parking pass itself.
Not about getting a ticket if it's not there, and that's the most important part. They will get a bylaw ticket if even if they have it in there anywhere on the car, if it's not
On
in
the
the right
dash,
place
right?
on the dash.
Well, the ticket, the pass
And-
does say to be valid must be affixed, blah, blah, blah.
But it doesn't say you will get a parking ticket. I think we did discuss this when we talked about it before, that was an important point. We let people know if you have anything for the bylaw officer's sake and our sake when people come in, when they get their ticket. And it is, a lot of people just throw them on the dash.
Well, then they
So I
know
thought-
it's invalid.
But I thought this had been agreed to when we talked about this. I might have misunderstood, but that we were going to give clear instructions, and you were going to put it in the village update as well, because that's staff's main concern, is that we will have so many tickets challenged. People will be coming in, so we want them to know ahead of time that they have to put it on the window or they'll get a ticket.
Very, very clear instruction.
Okay, well, okay, go on. So that's...
Okay. Visitors passes as well. We thought about giving them the full page of the visitors pass. I also had questions about that, just to confirm we do want them on paper that can't be copied.
Mhm.
So, sorry, because I know you've been talking to Peter about this, but I don't know if council, I haven't been in the loop on this. So
yeah.
I just, because we
So
are
the
sending
idea
out in
was
2
to do
weeks.
it on a hologram paper, but Peter couldn't locate the hologram
Yeah.
paper in time. So, but there's copy-proof paper.
Okay, so I do have a question on that, and that's just to get me in the loop. The passes are free,
Mhm.
so why would we care if someone copied them?
Because I don't want anybody having one. It's got to be issued by us.
Okay,
It's not a case of
Right,
money.
no,
It's
no,
a
no.
case of management.
okay, because we'll
Just
have
to
to order
remind
that.
us all, the whole point of the parking plan is to control parking, not to make money out of it. So, obviously, if there's counterfeitable daily passes floating around, there's no control.
Okay, so we'll have to order that, and I suspect it will be heavier than regular paper. So again, that will take up room. Then we have the infrastructure survey, probably a brief memo or explanation about the survey. And then we talked about putting the wood smoke info in, but then there's a separate kind of administrative issue about that. We have the one piece, but it does mention that send comments by March 23rd. So the information's really good, but unfortunately that's on it. And then they sent us these other brochures, but I mean, I can leave them for council to look at. I don't think this is what we were actually thinking of putting in there. So one of the suggestions I had was that sending the brochure out, the infrastructure survey out is a separate mailing, because we have money in the budget. And the other advantage of that, I don't know if I'm typical, but when I get my tax bill in North Vancouver, I have a lot of enclosures, and all I care about is what my property taxes are. I open it up, I put all the enclosures to the side, and then I go back to them a few days later. And plus, we're going to have a new parking pass in there that I think is going to distract people.
Well, let's hope they don't put that to the side.
Because it's visibly different. So the only reason I suggested this was I thought it actually might give it more attention. They get a separate mailing, they open it up, you have that information, we can have the envelopes professionally stuffed and stamped, and it would allow us to perhaps do our own brochure for this.
Yeah,
Take
well,
the-
I've discussed this all with Peter, and the reason that I didn't want to do that in the first place was because it would give a little too much importance to the infrastructure survey, which asks some pointed questions, sensitive questions perhaps. And we already have discussed the IC to tone down some of the questions. I don't want to give it the credence of its own mailing. I think everybody's going to open their tax bill. I don't know if I'm like most people, but as soon as it's not something I know, it goes straight in the bin, unopened. If they really want to reach me, they'll send me another one.
Well, I also question the narrative sending out a wood smoke thing at this time of year where everybody's shutting off their devices, maybe sometime in
Okay.
the fall.
Well, we will have to make some hard decisions then, because this will not all fit in the envelope. It's a window envelope, and we have trouble just stuffing it with the normal stuff we have.
So
and
how about a
that's-
half-size envelope?
Look at a large envelope.
Yeah, no, it
Double
has to
folded.
be a window envelope. It takes us 2 days of labor, everybody, to get these
Folding.
stuff. It's folded 4 times to fit in the envelope, and we slide the address in for the window. It would mean putting separate labels.
Well, how about get
on
same
everything.
property tax bill, but folded in half, not in thirds, and envelopes with the window in the right place?
Yeah, it wouldn't line up. I think we've already. I
It
don't
would.
think it would
Get-
work.
Get the envelope. You can buy envelopes with windows anywhere you want them.
It wouldn't line up to folding it in half. The envelope's at the top. We'd still have to fold it 3 times to line up with the envelope. We'd have to completely redesign the tab to be able
Envelope?
to have it.
Property tax bill, window.
And the address
4
is
by
here,
6.
and we fold it in half.
Okay, then the window's there. The envelope is this size. There, I've wasted all the page. And everything will fit.
How much staff time are we involving in?
Well, this is less because only 1 fold, not 4.
Well, perhaps you guys can do your paper mache later.
Yeah.
But for us, the real issue is not about the folding, it's the volume.
Actually, that is the issue. It's a huge
Alright.
amount of staff time,
Okay.
and
Oh, no.
I don't think it'll fit. It's where it's lined up. We could not fold it in half and purchase not a custom-made envelope and have it line up. So I feel like you're getting involved in administrative stuff, and it is a little frustrating.
Right.
It's I'm telling you, there's too much to put in the envelope. I was not involved in this conversation. This was you and Peter. I don't even think council was, and that does concern me. It's 2 weeks before we have to send it
I
out.
would agree with that in that we need to make sure that the material gets out properly, and we can't be, we need to do it properly and have it done by people who know what they're doing. And I think, I personally don't even want to make decisions, but I know it has to go out, let's get it out.
Well, I will
How
just-
it
Well-
works, I don't really.
Maybe we leave this out because it is kind of
Definitely.
a, so we'll
The
leave
wood-
that out.
the wood
So let's
material
see.
has to come
Got
out.
the
It's
property
out of
tax
date
bill,
and
the
it's
parking
not-
passes. I'll do the property tax brochure on the 1 page. We do get a lot of feedback on that, so I don't like to leave that out.
The survey.
So I'll just
The,
point out, the other reason I like the bigger envelope, the number 8, I think it's called, is for the 10 years I've lived here, my property tax bill has always come with the envelope stuck to the property tax bill,
Mhm.
because it's being stuffed. So
But it is legal size, so we still have to fold it. Even if we could line it up, we'd have to fold it 3 ways. And then by lining it up, that's actually why now we have to do the 4 folds to line it up. So, because those, I know they're like the size of the T4 envelopes.
Okay, well,
So it would mean,
And
I'm
you're
just
not
saying we have
looking-
too much.
You're not looking for a decision, you're just telling us this, aren't you?
Well, I
Well-
am. We have to decide what we're going to put in. Is the survey 1 page?
it can be 1 page.
I mean, that's why I thought as a separate mailing, I get your point. You don't want to put too much attention to it, but I actually thought that was a good solution. And more people will see it if you want a good response.
I don't want to digress, I'm kind of with Mary, you can get an envelope of any size, of any kind of stuff, that just, tell me I'm wrong and be quiet.
I
You know,
think
I
at
mean-
this hour, we'd have to go out, purchase envelopes, try folding them, and try and make
Get
it
them
work.
fit,
for-
yeah.
Do we have we do have a folding
and a
machine, right?
we
process.
don't.
No, it's all hand done.
Why don't we have a folding machine?
Like they're really, really expensive. They take up a huge amount of room, almost as much as your printers. And even West Vancouver actually didn't use them because
well.
they jam a lot. And
Okay, well, you know, if I'd only brought up the infrastructure survey in the last month or so, I would understand. But I brought it up about 10 months ago. So this is last minute stuff. I guess when stuff gets slow played, that happens. So I'm afraid we're not going to be able to do the infrastructure survey at all, period. Because it's not going to serve any purpose to send it out in a separate mailing. People are going to either throw it away or say, what's this? I'm not responding to this. This is not anything I want to do. I had planned to do a SurveyMonkey survey alongside it if you didn't want to do the hard copy one. It doesn't do any point to have a link for people to say voluntary survey. So we'll just do without it.
well, no, I don't think we're at that point, Carl. I mean, I'm just saying I want to try to see what we could filter out. So can you do the survey in 1 page? But I don't want to compromise the survey. But
Yeah, the survey can be done in 1 page.
So,
and we can try stuffing it, and I guess see if we can fit it into other envelopes. But the problem is to line up the window, you end up still doing almost as much folds. That's what I'm trying to explain. That it's
my comment around that is very simple. we know what we have to put in the package. If we're gonna do that and it contains a lot of material, let's get the package and get the envelope and the stuffing done by someone that does it for a living.
Oh,
And
no.
get it done. No, I'm just saying, to have it in a larger envelope and pass out a bunch of information as, or we're gonna have to spend a bunch of time folding and putting it in there properly, and I just don't see we have the staff time to do that.
Yeah. We can experiment what we have. Like, this is huge, not putting this in here. So we'll experiment and see what we have, what we can fit in, and we can try the other envelopes. But I'm just,
So, the parking pass, the tax notice, and the survey. Those are the three that are,
there's the visitor's passes, and we wanted to do that on a full legal size. And then just like the paper, I haven't seen the paper, but I think it might be a little bit thicker. The property tax bill, because the only way we can get it done in the 2 days is to fold it all at once. So it's nice when everything's the same size. And then we do the one fold, and then we put it in the envelope and then insert the loose stuff. And we could maybe do the instructions just smaller. I've got part of my answer. By not putting this in, that may solve the problem. So we'll experiment and see. And it was just to see if you've answered my question, if you wanted to do it as a separate mailing.
Definitely not as a separate mailing, either in the tax bill or not at all.
Okay.
So the tax bill goes out in how many days?
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Same time every year, end of May, last week of May.
I mean, I happen to know quite a lot about billing. So I ran a telecoms company. Our first month we sent out 70 bills, and within 3 years we were sending out 60,000 a month. And I learned quite a lot about stuffing envelopes. I know what I'm talking about. But we've only got
Just
500.
for some perspective, my perspective, when I get a bill, I just want the bill. I don't want all kinds of other nonsense in there. So if it's a tax bill, I'm looking for a tax bill. I'm not looking for parking information. I'm not looking for stuff about my friggin' chimney. I don't care about that in a tax bill. To me, that's confusing.
I've always, well, the original plan was not to put the parking passes in the tax bill, but that was a compromise. Because I agree, you want one page in there.
But historically, we've always put the parking passes in there, but just the ones, that stick on your window, and that's when people do look for them. But,
Yeah.
but to be
Become
fair,
used to that, sure.
no, but it's the temporary ones, that's new, I agree, putting the temporary passes in there.
What, temporary passes?
I'm sorry, not the temporary, I apologize, the visitor's passes.
Free pass always take the state out of the taxes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
my,
With one hand we give.
Yes.
exactly, my concern was, I know the infrastructure, I can see you not wanting to put the importance on it, but my concern, people will miss it. Because I do think a lot of people separate it, because I'm all about my tax bill too. I just want to know what I'm going to owe again in the District of North Van, and all the extra stuff I put aside, maybe go through it a few days later. I was just concerned that
I just don't want to have this fight again. I had,
but this is
word
the
for
first time
word-
we're discussing it at council, I
Yeah.
believe.
well, as you say, this is an administrative thing. I've talked to Peter about this
Not
ad
the
infinitum.
infrastructure. I don't think the infrastructure thing is administrative, the infrastructure survey. Okay, we will see if we can get it in an
Carl's
envelope.
throwing in the towel, what's going on?
Yeah, let's move on. No decision. Award of Asset Management Investment Plan, page 15. So, very self-explanatory. This was the winning bid, and we need council approval to undertake the contract. Is that right?
Yes, basically authorizing me and you to sign the contract and for me to notify them tomorrow. There's one additional piece of information. Yesterday, we got the grant. So I had asked for council's consideration to go ahead with the project, even if we didn't get the grant, but we have got the grant. So that's now a moot point. It doesn't change the recommendation, but
Okay, good. That's good. And what about the FCM grant?
we haven't applied for that yet. The recommendation was that, when I looked into it, was do this first, get an asset management plan, and from that will flow what the next steps are, at which case we'll apply for the FCM grant. It's open for several years, that grant, I think 3 years.
Okay.
And I thought that was good, because this we'll know what some of our needs are by doing this, and then we'll,
The other
Apply
point
for
is
that
the
grant.
FCM grant is a larger dollar amount, and you want to save the projects that have a bigger ticket for that FCM grant.
Okay, my only request again is that this is done in the standard font going forward, so that it looks like the rest of the package. But
Without going to the stuff that's here, maybe I missed it, when's the expected dated receipt? 6 months?
6 months, yes.
6 months for work, and then it comes after that, or?
Yeah, at the end of the 6 months, they'll have a report, and part of it is they will present it to council.
And Carl, to your point about the fonts, it is Calibri, but it's Calibri Light. When we asked, this is a template that we received from Lidstone, and it's a template that's written in Calibri Light. So I will endeavor to change that for future contracts.
Okay, I noticed that it's by Lidstone because I can see that in the footer. Is that something that's standard?
Yeah, Lidstone does a lot of contracts, and they help municipalities by providing templates for us to use.
No, but I mean the one that goes to the vendor.
Sorry?
The contract that goes to the vendor
It's
has
just yeah, it's just a footnote that says which contract this is for our reference more than anything.
Okay, so this particular one is not dated and the name of the firm is not in there. So that's coming, I presume, the one
Yeah,
that will
this
actually
is
get signed.
basically, we're letting the people who are applying to the RP know this is the contract we expect them to sign.
Yeah.
And then we will send them a contract that,
Okay, so the recommendation is that council award the contract in the amount of $30,000 for the development of an asset management investment plan and an asset management roadmap for the Village of Lions Bay to Urban Systems Limited, and that the mayor and CEO would be authorized to execute a contract for services with Urban Systems Limited in substantial accordance with the draft services agreement attached as Schedule B to the subject RFP. Motion? And a second. Any further discussion?
I just had a question. Did we not have something like this done already in our infrastructure master plan where we did an asset evaluation and life
yes, that was
cycle?
part of the assets, and that's actually why, believe it or not, this is so cheap.
Okay.
Because what they're doing, all of the companies do this, but this was a particular strength of Urban Systems. They take all the information that we have and they
Okay.
consolidate it all. And
Okay.
I would add, Norm, that the infrastructure master plan only focused on
Yes.
engineering assets, public works assets.
Okay.
We don't have the CLAT emergency building or the beach park washrooms.
So it's more comprehensive.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's right.
Because it talks about some of the services being calculated in remaining life, and a lot of that's already been done.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
so that's a good point, actually. There's no duplication. It's, like I say, they actually take all the information we have. We have other smaller reports, our TCA, our financial information, and they console it all and look where the gaps are, where we need more information. And then that's why, after that, by knowing the gaps, we'll have a better idea of what the next grant should be that we apply for to help fill those gaps.
Okay, so there's second motion. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Good. And audit financial statements. This was discussed in Council Strategy Committee this afternoon. And the recommendation is that the Village of Lions Bay's 2017 audit financial statements, as presented to Council on May 8th, that's today, be approved pursuant to the Community Charter Section 167, and that the 2017 audited financial statements be included in the 2017 annual report pursuant to the Community Charter Section 98. Can I have a motion? Thanks. And a second? We discussed this for 2.5 hours this afternoon, but is there any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. And third, award of contract for parking meters. The recommendation is that the CEO be authorized to execute the contract with Precise Parklink Inc. for rental, installation and operation of 3 parking meter stations. 85, I thought I may have had one comment, question. Maybe it was for the next one. Oh, well, my comment was council has no idea what the terms of the contract are.
Yes, it's basically the rental of fees, and we have put it in the budget. The total cost will be about $4,000 for the rental, because last year it was a test, so they didn't charge us for these things. So it's $125 of rent per meter. So obviously it'll go down if we don't do the CN lot. Communication costs, and just various costs. So it'll be in total about $4,000 based on 3 meters. The 3 locations.
Okay, and their commission, the discount, their take, same as last year?
Yes.
Okay, not that I remember what that is, but whatever it was, I think was reasonable. Okay, Any further discussion? We haven't got a motion yet, right? Motion to execute the contract, thanks, in a second.
No, I was back in the discussion.
Yeah, sorry.
It's not that big a deal in the world of the world, and I appreciate a one-page report more than anybody else, but it's kind of lacking in the details. And even if it was, because this is a pretty small one, if it had about 4 bullet points of information, I mean, such as Carl said, how much is it, what's the date?
Well, I mean, I have the contract, we would have to look at it enclosed, right? So
Thank you, that's
that's the
okay.
issue. That's the issue. It's really just to authorize me to sign it, because we don't have the delegation bylaw, and they can't start working on it until
No,
it's
okay,
signed.
no.
But no, I'm happy to go over it enclosed.
No, I think we beat it up.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I will take it on faith that that's all good.
Yeah.
So I'll call the question. All in favour and opposed? That carries. And finally, award of contract to Pay by Phone. Recommendation that the CEO will be authorised to execute the contract with Pay by Phone Technologies for a virtual payment option for the village's metered parking.
It's really the only option. This is how everyone pays for meters now.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
There
previously
is
we
no option.
we didn't use Pay by Phone last year. We used Fly by Night Incorporated.
It is expensive. I
Just
wouldn't have even
substitute.
recommended it if they hadn't waived their setup fee. Their setup fee is $1,500. And it's a 25-cent transaction fee, but there's a minimum charge of $250, so it'll cost us $250 a month to implement it.
Let's hope that
Like
we
that's
have
their
way more
take.
than $250 a month for the few months that we have pay parking.
So but it'll be
So it kinda has to-
$750.
The rates have to make sense.
Mhm. Which is
Again, I'll
coming
just
in our
remind
fees
council,
bylaw.
the point of pay parking is not to make money, it's to manage parking.
Manage the parking, that's right.
But we would like to cover our costs.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah.
The only other question I've got is with this decision on the previous one, are we gonna be able to execute it before the end of the month, or hopefully before the May long
It
weekend?
won't be ready for the May long weekend, no, it'll be early June. It'll be 3 to 5 weeks to implement the meters. He's been waiting on the contract being signed and our fees, what our fees will be. So,
Pretty late.
Yeah. Luckily, we don't have the signs up yet, which says pay parking from May to September. Okay, so there's a second motion on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Speaking of parking signage, verbal update.
So signs have not arrived yet. They're in production. We're just waiting.
What about the poles and the hardware?
All the other stuff is here. We're
Ready to
just
go.
waiting for the signs.
It's an odd number of poles per bundle, 37 poles per bundle. Could they get a more?
I
Odd
believe
number?
I believe it's by weight.
I see.
Yeah.
Shipping company.
Yeah.
So my only question there, Nai, is why did we go with custom-made signs when the whole deal was we were going with standard traffic signs?
They're not custom-made signs. These are standard traffic signs. Standard parking.
But they have to be made for us,
Yeah,
rather than come from
Lines, way
Acme
signs.
traffic signs in Montreal.
absolutely. Yeah, the signage is on. It's to do with the engineered vinyl. It's ASTM Type 1 vinyl. Shireen Industry is the standard manufacturer for large quantities of Lower Mainland signs. They don't have a huge inventory. They just produce as the contracts come in.
Okay, so this was not in stock anywhere in the country.
We didn't look anywhere in the country.
Okay, so
Shireen,
how long has this been in production? When did we let the order?
I don't know. I'll have to find out.
I think it was about 2 months ago.
We are ordering in excess of 460 signs, so it is a big order. And yeah, Shireen is the lowest price in the Lower Mainland, and hence gets a lot of the business from municipalities. We're just in the queue. They know we want these signs. They know we're waiting for them.
Does Westbound no longer have a sign shop?
Yeah, Claudia would never be able to churn this. No, she'll do maybe 5 signs, but 460, no thanks. Yeah, so Even she doesn't do her own stop signs, no parking signs, she goes to Shireen, which most municipalities are doing. It's way more efficient. Their prices are unbelievably good,
Well, we know that
So-
from the budget item.
Mhm.
It's a third of what we thought it was gonna cost.
but they're busy.
Am I in the latest bid that they may have told you, when would they be here?
They haven't given me a date, they're in production.
So,
So originally I pushed him and he said sometime the first week of May. So
Okay.
he hasn't changed that.
Well, that may all be to the good, depending on what happens in our discussion with CN tomorrow. Nye and I are meeting with them at 10:30. Because if things don't happen according to something that we can handle plan-wise, we won't be putting up the signs, because the rules won't work. In terms of permit parking, in terms of pay parking. For example, if we don't get pay parking at the CN lot, visitors get to park for free and residents don't. So, you know, the whole plan falls down if we don't have pay parking at the CN lot. So council will be probably needing to make a decision. If CN won't play ball, council's probably going to end up having to make a decision next meeting on running another trial.
I think we'll be able to convince them.
I think we will too. I'm fairly hopeful. I think they sound pretty cooperative. I'll also remind us that we instituted a $25,000 budget to resurface and line layout that lot. That is how much of a lead time?
Weeks,
Yeah,
if not
weeks.
months. Yeah, paving contractors accept contracts for their summer work starting in January. So, and they want guaranteed contracts signed.
Yeah, so even though we knew we were going to face summer coming around about this time of the year, here we are scrambling. We will probably need a plan B in case something falls down. We can't line the lot because we have to surface it. We can't put one-way traffic in there, as we have seen, to stop people parking their boat trailers down the middle. But I guess we're hoping for the best. Okay, we'll move on. Thanks for that, Nye. Page 89, this letter, I'll just interject before we review it, that I got a call from the ministry yesterday. It said that Lions Bay is not, N-O-T, not in the speculation tax regime. I said, that's great, because everything I read on fairly official-looking websites and documentation says that all of Metro Vancouver, except Bowen Island and the islands in Howe Sound that belong to Electoral Area A, which is Boyer and Passage, are. No, Lions Bay is not. I said, well, can you please send me something that specifically says that, like an order in council or
an email, something.
anything. Even just a carrier pigeon with something with a rubber band tied on its leg with a message. That would be great.
Ministry rubber band.
Oh, yeah, official. Yeah, right.
Official rubber band.
How high up was the person called?
Not very.
Not very.
So,
Will they give it to us in writing? Because we have been told before by the ministry we weren't. And then they call us back and say we are. Like, they just seem to not even know where Lions Bay is.
no, they don't. So I said, I had specifically said in my note to the minister, I was expecting a call back from her, but quite frankly, not from somebody who didn't know where Metro Vancouver was, let alone Lions Bay. I mean, she called from from Victoria, obviously. So I don't think she knows where Lions Bay is. I said, we're in Metro Vancouver, regional district, right? The same regional district as Vancouver and Surrey, Burnaby, places like that. Yes, I know. So anyway, take that all with a pinch of salt. So I may reserve the right to have to tone down the first paragraph, but what do we think about the letter?
I was going to amp up the first paragraph. And just, if you want to take a note for however you want to play this, two things. One, for me to get to Bowen Island from West Vancouver would take me less time than from leaving Lions Bay to cross any of the bridges. So, I mean, what gives with the special treatment there?
Yeah.
And as the three of us who went to the Howe Sound Forum knows, Furry Creek, which is a scant 10 minutes away from us,
Will be all speculation.
is, I think there's issues with them too. So anyhow, I guess I would have amped this up a bit and said,
Well, the interesting thing about the speculation tax was when I mentioned to Jordan Sturdy, he said, well, do you want to be in or out? And I said, well, out, obviously. But the point is that it's also this demographic control mechanism. But as you see, as I say in there, thank you, we've got that taken care of ourselves. And so if you do want to raise money from us, give us the money, because it's ours. Because we have plans, thank you, Ministry.
Well, to that point, I thought, I'm in full support of everything that you've got here, with the exception of your comment about give us the money, because I have no desire to take part in shameful gain, is my opinion of it. It's wrong for them to tax it that way. And it's a negative if we receive wrongfully taxed money. I think just sort of an ethical thing there. So if those couple of sentences were taken out, I think it would be a new perfect letter representing what I would want to say to them. So yeah, I would say go for it.
well, the problem with that is that
They're going to take the money.
the problem with that is
So
they're
do
gonna
you
take the
want
money.
do you want us to ask for it or don't you? Because it is our money.
I think that's kind of where I'm at.
That's exactly what it is, Alan.
Well, it sounds like we're sort of fluttering between the two. Like we're shaking our fist at one hand with one hand, and then the
I
hand
see
up
what you
with
mean.
the other.
Yeah.
Clarify it.
Well, maybe I can say a catch-all. If you're going to take this kind of money, we need a very similar. We think we should get. Yeah, I see what you think. You know, it's a valid point.
You want to polish that one up?
It's hard to say no to any money from the government, but
Well, they're going to take it anyway.
Yeah.
Now, the speculation tax we may or may not be in. Quite frankly, I believe we probably are, because I've seen the official document on the ministry's website, and it specifically names Bowen Island as the one member of Metro Vancouver that's not in. So unless they've changed it, and I must say I didn't check yesterday or today on the website, we're in. The other ones, the surtax and the property transfer tax, you know, that's going from bad to worse.
oh yeah.
I mean, if you look at the surtax, for example, that's a third of what we tax it.
Well, let's not even go, that numbers are tell all. That was the other piece on this. Rather than delaying this for to be confirmed, I'd say, just use the word approximately. And
Oh, I had asked Pam to check these numbers, but I want to be.
Oh, so I misunderstood. It said to be confirmed, and I know Haley was sending you that information, so I didn't realize.
Yeah, no, I've
you
done my
wanted us-
calculation, but I need you to do the calculation from first principles again, just
Okay.
So that I haven't missed a decimal point or something, because it would not do well to tell the minister that they're
so
taking 10 times
that
the
would be
money.
nice if you got it this week.
Yeah. So why don't I just circulate?
I really like the way you've written it, and I like the way you've put these additional taxes into the context of what our tax base is, because it does paint a pretty good picture of what they're asking to take out of our coffers. So maybe while we don't want to say, if you take it, give it back to us, we should say something like that. We don't just want to give this money away.
I kind of like the bluntness. I mean, the letter's going to create some interest in their office.
Yeah,
That's for
no,
sure.
that's kind of my point. Is
Yeah.
that it draws a very good picture for people. How can you take that much money out of such a small tax base?
No, that's the point.
It's a good point to make, and to be upset about that, to say I want it back, is pretty. I think that's pretty easy to rely on.
Well, I mean, my point really is, we don't have the courage to do that. But if you're going to be so dumb as to do that, it's our money. You squeeze it from our taxpayers.
We'll put it back in the community.
Well, maybe,
Maybe
Fred.
not.
So I'll
Yeah.
talk with you offline on this, because
Okay.
you make a good point. But so maybe the sentiment is more put the money back in the
Put it
community.
back in the community, it'd be a little nicer than we want the money.
I think, yeah, I think that's an acceptable change. I don't think that, I think it just clarifies things. It's a little more bold and it's more direct. It says, this is what you should do, period.
But to the point, I think
Yeah,
you
get to
made
the
a good
point.
But for people who bought, say, on the waterfront years and years ago, which would be a lot more affordable, they're still in there. Decades go by, the property's value has gone through the roof. But a lot of them are seniors now, or on limited income. There's no way you could come up with that kind of money. You're forcing people out of their houses.
I resemble that remark.
There you go. So, green light on this one is mine.
Okay, so motion to receive for
Because
now.
I don't want option 2 to ever occur on anything.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Let's just draw a line through that one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, so now I will actually ask for a motion to receive at this stage, because not really ready to push the button on just yet.
Actually, on that one, I'm ready to, short of your minor changes, whatever they are, to send it out. Don't wait the time.
Okay, so you're moving to send it,
Move it to
as
send
amended?
as modified.
Yeah, that's fine.
A second on that one?
That's fine.
Everybody good? Okay, I'll call that question.
So
Yeah?
just one more thing to consider, if we just talk about a shortfall in infrastructure capex, could we list some very concrete examples of
Okay.
where we have things we really need to spend money on, and
Such as, yeah.
such
Yeah.
as?
Nye, can I have your wish list, please? Just the
And-
top 5.
So with Pam's blessing, if this could end up on the unfinished business next time.
Yeah. Okay, there's a question ready
Oh,
for,
yes.
Unfinished business next
Gordon?
time.
Yeah.
all in favor? Opposed? That carries. Okay, thanks. Not to, Minister, you're an idiot, which she's not, by the way. But she's advised by idiots. Oh, did I say that on tape? Oh. Okay. I have nothing on the agenda for council committees or emergency services. So we'll go to special council meeting. The recommendation is a special council meeting be scheduled for May 10th. This is to
Thursday.
do what again, Pam?
It's to adopt the 5-year financial plan, the tax rate bylaw, and the fees bylaw.
Having now given all but that
Yes.
in this meeting. So
Yes.
they'll be given their third readings, and
Yes.
this is just
That's
the,
right.
the,
It's just
the
to meet the May
formality.
15th deadline, and then the fees bylaw is so that we can get those fees tomorrow to, well, not tomorrow, but to, sorry,
Precise
Park Link.
Park
Thank
Link,
you, thank you, Precise Park Link.
Just by the by, this is an administrative thing. The parking slip that they will print out of the meter says this is not a permit on it, right? I've asked Peter for the last 2 years to make sure that it says that, because I don't want people buying a $1 ticket, sticking it on their dash and going parking in permit zone. So it must say this is not a permit. I don't know if they've been told that.
No, neither do I.
For the 10th, going back to 9 a.m.
What day is that?
That's the...
Thursday.
Oh,
we
the
just-
day after tomorrow.
Yes, we just need
Yeah,
quorum,
tomorrow,
so the regulars, Ron, Fred, and
Well, it depends on the
Carl, if
time.
you're here. And
I
then,
mean,
well, that's
I'm-
why I'm saying if
I'm
you're not
supposed to be in
available,
Whistler.
we can do it another day then.
I can conference in. I have no problem with that. I don't mind, I'll be by
I've got
phone.
a
Okay.
doctor's thing in the afternoon.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem.
It doesn't have to be May 10th. I just, I prefer this week, but it's up to your schedule. So that's why we
Well,
just put it out there
we
to
need
pick a
3
time
to
and date.
commit, so...
I don't want to miss the morning plenary with the topic "I'm right and you're an idiot: the toxic state of public discourse and how to clean it up." That's what I'd be missing.
If you're not available that
We
day,
don't
we
want
can
you
do
to
it
miss
another
that.
day. No, we can do it another day.
But you need it done by the 15th.
We do it done by the 15th. Yeah. So we could do it on the Friday, or we could do it on the Monday.
Friday's fine.
Monday's a bit
No.
tight,
Time of
just
day
since
is
it's
the
due
only
the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just, like I say, we just need the 3 for quorum, so.
Friday's
to
fine for me
adopt.
too, but I'll do it from
Yeah.
there.
Does Friday work for you, or is this a 2-day?
It's a
Okay.
3-day. So on
Oh.
Friday afternoon I can do.
Okay,
Friday afternoon's fine.
Friday at 3.
Friday at 3?
That works.
Can you-
Okay, so that's May
You calendar
Is it 11th?
set, Shona?
at 3 p.m.
Thank you.
So this will be May 11th
Yeah,
at 3 p.m. Okay.
Okay, so can I have a motion that a special council meeting be scheduled for May 11th at 3 p.m.? Thanks, and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? It carries. I don't believe it's kosher to speak to the gallery. You might be cooking up some mischief.
I'm consulting my agenda calendar.
You know, in my house, it's a sign of age when you use
That's great.
Oh.
signals.
So you have your own personal Siri.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you
I
go.
didn't know her name was Siri.
There you go.
Custom. Okay, fine. Let's move on to the third reading on the 5-year financial plan bylaw number 542 of 2018. Can I have a motion for third reading? Thank you. And a second. Any discussion? Just wanted to check something.
So I've highlighted the changes that we made. They were the changes we discussed at the last meeting, adding the beach park and adding an additional amount to Bayview. We already had 340,000 in there. We had added the additional amount to make it equal the amount that we hope to apply for in the Clean Water 2 grant, if it ever comes out. Still haven't
It hasn't
heard
yet, has
anything.
it?
No.
It's out everywhere else other than in BC.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're starting to get a bit of concern it may not come out.
Corey
There's-
mentioned the other grant.
Yes, we've heard that there's another grant coming out, a provincial grant for infrastructure capital in June.
Not the infrastructure planning grant.
No,
There's
this is a big
different
one. This is a
separate
big one.
From the
separate,
province.
But from the province.
So that'll be.
And I don't know if that's delaying, sorry, the clean water,
50% money,
wastewater?
maybe?
Don't know yet. We don't know too many details.
Not even
I've
the name?
just-
I haven't
No.
heard of it. What about the Green Infrastructure Fund? The
They're
FCM?
all lumped together. It was that,
Mhm.
the green, community, infrastructure, there were categories.
For
So,
the clean water,
nothing,
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And we literally are the last province.
Well, yeah, but the green infrastructure, that's an FCM.
The green infrastructure, the FCM hasn't changed. That's still there.
That's 50% money. And
Yeah, I
that,
don't know that they would cover our road project.
no, that would have to be a water project and something pretty sexy on water.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the table, seconded motion on the table. So, and I see you cleaned up Schedule B. That
Yes.
looks good.
And I know it looks like a lot of yellow on Schedule A, but essentially, by adding the additional capital and for their larger amount, our loan authorization bylaw only allowed us to borrow up to $3 million. And because we increased the infrastructure, I had to kind of jiggle the grants, like have more grant and less loans to keep to the 3 million. So it looks like it's a lot of changes, but it really is just the changing the capital for the Bayview, rejigging some of the other years in the 5-year plan. And then, of course, that hits the interest payments, the principal payments, the depreciation, and adding in the beach park, that also impact the transfer to reserves.
Just remind us where the 5795 for land sales comes from. Which one? That's the Kelvin Grove parcel and?
Public Works.
And
Public Works.
Public Works, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And it's net. I've taken off commission and everything, and then I just showed it. I have money going towards capital to pay for the new Public Works building, and then the net amount being transferred to reserves.
And do we have any knowledge yet of what Flynn Rowe would want on their lease? In terms of
We're working
payment,
on-
anything?
I don't believe there's a payment. It's just a Crown land use,
application,
yeah.
which we're working on.
We're close to submitting.
Okay, good. We'll talk some more about some of the development opportunities enclosed under the land, legal, labour provisions of the community charter. Okay, thanks, Pam. So that's it for this. Ready for the question? Are we ready for the question, Pam?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. So then we'll move on to the separate but related tax rates bylaw number 543 of 2018. May I have a motion for a third reading? Thanks. And a second? Anything that we need to know here, Pam?
No, this is unchanged from the last meeting.
Okay, so these are the mill rates that we would be
Being on our tax.
talking about.
Yeah,
Utilities
our
are
tax
maxed
bill.
out, and
Yes.
business is 3 times recreational. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And residential and recreation are the same.
Yeah. Okay. Ready for the question? All in favour? Opposed? That carries. And on we go to the fees bylaw number 497 of 2016, amendment bylaw 544 of this year. So before I ask for a motion on this one, I have quite a few issues that perhaps we can run through quickly.
Sure.
But issues is probably. So the first was on page 2 of the bylaw, that's page 110 of the package. The citation is the citation not as amended. Cited as
Might get some help with Shauna on this one. She had worked on the bylaw with Peter.
the previous one was.
Sorry, I don't think she heard the question. So page 110 of 180. Sorry, Mayor,
Is the citation not
Mhm.
maybe cited for all purposes as fees bylaw number that as amended? Certainly that's how it is in the previous one, or in the I'm pretty sure that needs to be that. So you'll need to check that. Because we're doing, what are we doing here? First and second, or first, second, and third?
For second and third.
It is,
Right?
it is an amendment bylaw,
Yeah.
so it should be,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So isn't the amendment to 544?
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
this is the consolidation. so
Yeah, this
I
is
got
actually just the
direction, no?
consolidation, so what you're actually doing first and second reading on is
It's
just,
just page
it's just
one
the
and-
page 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay, but fees bylaw number 497 has got lots and lots of challenges in the schedules, and so the first thing I didn't understand was we'll get to it. So
So essentially, this is the bylaw. We show what it looked like consolidated, but this is always just an office consolidation.
Yeah.
Every time we make a change to the fees bylaw, it does become fee bylaw 497, 2016, and this is amendment bylaw 544.
but there's a lot more amendments
But,
needed, is the problem. So on page 12 of the bylaw, 120 of the package, all those fees for permits under the traffic and parking fees section, we don't have a resident parking permit anymore. It's now called an annual parking permit. We also give one free permit to search and rescue and staff.
We do recognize changes will need to be made for these for
Oh.
that. This was just to address the metered parking because they can't do the meters until we've agreed to the rates.
Okay, fine.
So,
So we're going to have to amend,
yeah.
we're going to have
Yes.
to have another amending bylaw.
Yes.
And that needs to be done relatively soon as well,
Mm-hmm.
because,
And that was the plan, to do it all at once, but there was an urgency to this because we didn't want to delay the meters anymore
fine.
So
than they were. So this is
we're
literally
still
the
gonna
only
have to amend
changes.
this even if we pass it tonight.
Yes, and it would be an additional amendment.
Another
bylaw.
amendment
And
And
bylaw.
how long is that gonna take to get the amendment?
Well, we can do first, second, and third reading and then an
Yeah.
adoption.
And then adoption.
So I mean,
We've-
I'm wondering if there's any point in even passing this one.
Well, we need
No,
this,
no,
that we
the-
can't, it's,
I
yeah,
understand.
and that's why we did
Some
it.
of it.
Okay,
And it's
that's
fairly
fine.
common with the fees bylaw, you'll notice there's lots of amendments, that's why we tend to show an office consolidation, so it's not legal, but it shows everything consolidated, all the individual. So right now, we had wanted the metered parking, and then Peter had asked us to add the soil deposits, just to have it ready.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
So I get it. So we're just going on a small amendment, which is actually a necessary item so that we can
That's correct.
Okay.
send the rates. And the higher level question is, we've got to give delegation by law a go, so this kind of stuff doesn't have to come to council.
Mhm.
I would want staff to be able to change the parking rates on the fly halfway through the season.
I
when
think that
they're-
always does have to go, it's a bylaw, so that always has to go through the bylaw. The delegation bylaw allows things like me to, Peter, me as the acting CAO, to be able to sign smaller contracts. But
Yeah,
this
okay.
is a bylaw, will always have to
Okay.
come to council.
Fair enough. Okay, so everybody know what the issue is there, so let's have a motion, please, for the amendment bylaw. And a second. Any discussion?
On this, Sean, can we have this as a piece of unfinished business in the next agenda, asking you to come back from Peter within a month for that final amendment?
The fuel?
Additional fees, there's lots of fee changes in here.
I mean, we're passing a stopgap, and I don't want it to get lost in Never Land.
Yeah, no, I'll write all these up so that
Thank you.
that we've got them. Okay, so that's matters arising. Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks for that. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. On we go to Parks Regulation Bylaw number 548, Amendment Bylaw number 545 of this year. The report's in front of us. This is the first, second, and third reading of changing the hours to 11 p.m. pending the say-so of the public consultation. I'll just emphasise for the record that this is by no means railroading this through. We have every intention of rescinding third reading, amending the Parks Bylaw again before giving an adoption, if the public consultation would so indicate. But for now, this is simply... What is the time urgency on this one, Pam?
June 5th, this is gonna come back again? Well, we're gonna do the final, June 5th.
Yeah,
think
then
it
it'll be
was,
ready. It'll be ready for
So
then.
they miss out on the long weekend and the one after, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
Okay.
It was just to get them changed as quickly as possible, so we just had to adopt, depending upon, as you said, what the response was from the public.
Fine. We'll need new signage in that respect, which we don't have today because the signage today reflects 10 p.m. The new signage is in the Community Signage Makeover Action Plan. I tried to make that into an acronym, but I couldn't. that says the new closing hours, but we haven't got the RFP for that out yet. But that's coming. Now I swore it. Okay, so it's a very small amendment. So can I have a motion in that regard? This is for first, second, and third reading on the amendment bylaw. Thanks, and a second. Norm, you looked dubious.
Nope.
That's not your dubious look?
No, I'm thinking too far ahead. I just gotta focus. We're doing it.
Yeah, focus. Okay, so everybody ready for this guy? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Okay, so that means that the questions I had regarding some other stuff can wait. That's good. Okay, and then we're going to another amendment, bylaw number 546. I haven't actually been keeping track of bylaw numbers, but Shauna has. And this is also a recommendation for first, second, and third reading. So in here, my question was, why do we have a Schedule A? In that those fees are also covered with different numbers in the fees bylaw.
These fees, I'm not sure, have always been separate from the fees bylaw.
But they're even covered there. I mean, I can go and
Same
find
ones?
the same things covered in the fees bylaw. For example, or just one I know off the top of my head. Extra annual resident parking permit, now just called the annual parking permit, $40 per year. That's in the fees bylaw. And I believe all the spills on the highway damage, that's all in there as well.
So I'm not sure.
And this is in the bylaw that we're voting on, not in the consolidation. Shauna, any suggestions? This is the actual amendment bylaw, which now has a Schedule A. And I believe that the consolidation doesn't have a Schedule A. Could be wrong there. Let's just quickly check. It does not. There's no Schedule A in the consolidated bylaw. So I think that Schedule A somehow just appeared.
I know we do have fees in different places, they're not all in the fees bylaw, but as you say, these are in the fees bylaw.
These particular ones are, yeah. I think we just did a bylaw last meeting where the fees were called out because we didn't have time to fix the fees bylaw. That also needs to be fixed, by the way. Whatever we voted on last week set some fees for the soils bylaw. The soils bylaw had some fees in it. So
Right.
what I suggest we do
Can we
is
leave it?
strike it. Yeah,
Okay,
I think that's correct.
Yep.
If it's wrong, it's not a completely time-critical piece. We can rescind third reading,
So you're saying
amend,
strike Schedule A altogether.
strike Schedule A altogether as part of the as amended part of first, second, and third reading. So, I mean, we're reading these bylaws first, second, and third time, right? And so the readings say
yeah, I'd suggest striking the whole thing, like
Yeah.
we'll just bring it back.
the whole Schedule A.
The whole thing.
As long as each of those are on the fees bylaw.
Yeah. And it's not in the consolidation, so that tells me it shouldn't be there at all.
Good.
Because if it was, unless it's new, which it's not.
So should that be an action coming out of this, that we verify that nothing's missed?
Yeah, we're going to have to do another amendment bylaw on the fees bylaw anyway. But, I mean, in the report, it says nothing about adding a Schedule A. So I'm thinking that's just
I'm
spurious.
thinking that, this is only me thinking out loud, is that when we're doing these things, we seem to be reacting to, we've gotta get it out, we've gotta get it out, we've gotta get it out, we've gotta get it out. And seems to be the way we've been leading up to doing things the last little while. So,
Yeah, no, I apologize, and this came from Peter from Europe, and I should have looked at it.
No
more
apologies
closely.
necessary.
I
It's-
think we
don't
just.
apologize, it's okay.
No, but it's
Yeah,
a good point,
I
I think
get
we
it.
just
I'm
don't
just
do any
saying-
of it, like just completely
Pull
leave
the
it.
whole,
Pull the whole
pull the
thing.
report.
Don't do,
everything,
I'm not
come back.
comfortable with having you do 3
Yeah.
readings on something that I should know more about, and I think we need to just.
I think that's,
the whole thing.
that's
Yeah.
my point, I agree
Well, the
with
point
that.
about this was
It can wait, I know what the point was, but it can wait, it doesn't hold us up in any.
it
we've
was
got-
changing the definition of traffic control device, including an electronic, online, or digital device. Yeah, it's just to allow parking meters. How did we manage it last year without this? I think that's probably right. Let's just
Yeah.
table this.
Yeah.
So who would like to make a motion in that regard? Thanks. And a second on that
Table
one?
it to when?
Next meeting.
Okay, next meeting.
It'll probably
Okay.
be the June 5th meeting, because Peter will be back, because I'm not comfortable bringing it again. Like, I know Peter's back for the next meeting, but that's his first day back. So I don't think we're delaying anything.
Okay.
Well, we're not going to have meters by then anyway, so nobody's going to say, you've given me a ticket with them, and you're not allowed to have meters, I read your bylaw. Well, people,
We did
th-
last year.
this,
He's anticipating that.
no, we didn't. Sorry.
You know, keep moving, you can get the record.
Yeah, keep moving, let's go.
Okay, so I need a second on the motion to table this amendment by law.
I can't do
Thanks.
that.
Yeah, no, you moved it.
Yeah, I moved it, yeah.
Sorry.
All in favour? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Let's move on. I'm just going through the agenda through the package rather than the agenda, so tell me if I missed something, please, Shauna.
Correspondence next up.
Okay, is it correspondence next?
116.
Go for it.
116.
Okay, three things from outside. Budget notes from MLA Sturdy, lovely piece of opposition work.
Oh, hang on, just a sec there, Ron. Didn't we have some reports?
That we blew through 'em.
Oh, no, sorry, you're right.
Lots of nice photographs in there.
Yeah, everything except Lions Bay, I noticed.
I did note that myself when I received it.
And I can see, having seen Sturdy last week, he's looking a little thinner than some of these pictures, so there we go. Anyhow, so that's just a state of the nation from the opposition, no response. Number two, which is the LMLGA annual report, you have to go to the link to do that, so no response there. Trans Mountain Pipeline Expansion Project, interesting piece. City of North Vancouver believes they should weigh in on this. And don't ask for anything, but they just thought they'd tell us. And I believe the latest poll is 60% of folks are in favor of it, so there we go. Unless Mayor Bird's got anything more on that piece, we'll go to the resident one, which you put on table.
Fine, can I just ask while we have this here, I had suggested in the letter that we were going to send to the Minister of Finance that it goes to a fairly wide distribution list, meaning all metro municipalities, plus the cities of Kelowna, all the people affected by this.
You had on there, yeah.
Ron, can I just clarify what you said? You said 60% of people are in favor of this. Is this?
Latest, the pipeline.
But this is just asking for clarification. This
I'm
isn't opposing the
editorializing.
pipeline. Oh, okay. Just want to clarify.
Yeah, we're allowed to editorialize because we're cash. But yeah, this is, for the city of North Vancouver, it's pretty tame.
There we go.
Okay? Resident correspondence?
Were you making a point though? You want to spread it to the other communities?
Well, that's what it said in the recommendation. I had it CC'd to quite a wide distribution list.
Oh, okay.
Do we want to do that?
Well, it seems to me if it's got our name on it, it's got global circulation, so fill your boots, send it to who you want.
I think so. I mean, when I get stuff like this, I like to see what the other cities are thinking, and it gives a sense of local. Specifically, Jordan Sturdy asked me to make absolutely sure that if I did happen to write to the Minister of Finance, that I distribute the letter widely.
Yes.
So, I'm still back on 60%. And what I'm reading here is that 60% support the efforts to obtain clarity.
Sorry, I use 60%. We're hard on to having it built.
Okay.
Period. And I just since you brought this up, I didn't want to go on in this, but you've got me going. There are points about why it would cause all this labor unrest and all the rest of that. The same counter arguments for having it built.
I think people, as soon as gas went above $1.55, people said, hang on a sec,
Yeah.
maybe I'm not so environmentally conscious after all.
Well, and those who are environmentally conscious think, let me see if I've got this right. We're going to build a refinery? I think not. Okay. Mayor, you're up.
So you've seen this letter, and this is, as I've learned in politics, you have to be very careful what you wish for. So this was the Ministry of Transport went and cut down everybody's sound trees.
They didn't remove trees, they were just shrubs.
I mean,
Well-established shrubs, but
Yeah.
shrubs.
yeah. I don't know what the sound value of shrubs would have been anyway, but how do we respond to the resident who, makes a good point?
Well, shrubs eventually become trees that may well have some impact on sound.
The purpose behind the revegetation of these berms was staff did not have the time to maintain the berms.
To maintain provincial
So-
property.
To
basically.
maintain provincial
I
property.
get that, yeah.
So, the discussion that was had with the ministry was, you're taking over these berms, we're not gonna maintain them anymore. Ministry decided to put in, first of all, remove all the weeds and the contaminated soil, put in new soil, and put in new drought-tolerant plants, so no irrigation and very minimal maintenance.
Do we have an idea of how big these will be at maturity?
No.
You said pretty small.
Well, the residents ask, I'll just point out to you, is a hedge or a fence or a sound wall.
That would be a request to the ministry, I would think.
So we have put sound walls in elsewhere. They're not the most salubrious of items. They look truly awful. My concern about the noise, which is horrendous, is the noise is going to come through the gaps in the sound wall where the interchanges are anyway. It may even bounce around more. So you can never really tell. It's completely imprecise science. Just FYI, I've been working with the ministry on signage that may or may not have an effect. But I noticed specifically motorcycles sometimes go through here. They up their revs to about 5,000, and then they put the brakes on, so that it sounds like an engine brake for a truck. Deliberate. And it's deliberately trying to make a noise because it bounces off the sound wall, I think. Unless they've been complete idiots and just trying to be unkind. So the signage, it's quite hard to get a provincial ministry to actually produce signage that people would understand. But it's something like, for mutual respect, please keep it under 2,000 RPM, community behind these walls type of thing.
So, I agree with the concept. I don't agree that the guys riding a motorcycle are going to read signs.
Yeah.
They don't have time. They're too busy going too fast, and they got their shades down. They're blowing. They're looking at the road, and so
But even if it impacts 1 in 100, that's 1 more than we had before. The whole thing is we have to get people to slow down, and how
I
that's
agree.
going to work is average speed over distance, which I'm going to present the case. So what happens with average speed over if the Lower Mainland LGA endorses it, it goes straight to UBCM without any further ado.
I saw something that worked really good in North Vancouver today when I was in there. I was going through a roundabout, and all of a sudden, this police car jumped out and chased a car that ran through the roundabout without stopping and pulled them over right then and there. And there was about 15 motors behind me that all saw that, and boy, did they slow down.
Well, I have asked the police a lot. I went to Chilliwack to the RCMP training facility last week. It's an army base out there. You should see the cafeteria. As the guy next to me said, it's a lot better than donuts. There was salmon, there was chocolate mousse, it was pretty dang fancy. And I said to them, please can we stop trying to catch wrongdoers and start trying to stop them? In other words, park visibly on the bridge for 3 hours a day.
So is there no initiative to have some more messaging as you enter the Village of Lions Bay?
That's what I'm trying
Other than just welcome to the Village of Lions Bay?
to get them to do that.
Something that talks about sound and speed?
I think you have to be careful because I think that'll actually cause some motorcyclists to do it more. You know, what people don't understand is that it's not actually the pavement that's making noise, it's the engine.
Yeah.
So, and I think the sound walls are actually exacerbating the problem, but I don't know. So
you
what
don't
is?
think a friendly appeal, a message written as a friendly appeal would
Yeah, that's what we're going to try.
have more of an effect?
That is what we're going to try.
Okay.
So that's the next step. The next step, in fact, I believe it's the end of the month. If not this month, next month, Modi is going to run a sound count, they call it. So they're going to measure the decibels of everything going by where the slow down sign is, to try and start quantifying the nature of the issue, how intermittent, where the slugs are. So as you all know, sound measurement is only relative. You know, it depends where the microphone is and where the guy's going by. But at least start quantifying the problem. I have every expectation that will show that we have a noise problem, which is another incentive to control speed. But what do we tell Wes in the meantime? All that?
think, I don't think there's any political spin in this one.
Well, we certainly have to respond to him.
Well, I agree. He's looking for support from the council.
Well, that he has.
That
But
he
we're not.
has.
I don't think we're going to militate for new sound walls. But what I can do is say everything I've just said now. You know, we're very conscious of the issue for noise because I think that's his. He also said lack of privacy. Well, yeah, okay. You know, if you live in the first row on a highway, I guess people driving by are going to see you. You look skeptical.
Yeah, he's just installed a brand new fence along his property, along the highway. Yeah, I don't know how visible
This is the guy here?
he is. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's more, I think, exposure. It feels exposed.
Yeah.
But that's because you can hear people. Okay, tell you what, I'm going to respond in my inimitable fashion, just more or less summarizing what I just said.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Free range, go for it.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So a motion
Thank
to
you. By the
receive
way,
correspondence?
That's a crappy job to have to do something that is not what the resident really wants to hear.
Well, in the municipal business, that's a motion.
It
In the
is.
municipal business, you got to be careful what you wish for, because you'll get it. Second on that, that's to receive the correspondence. All in favour, opposed, carried. And now we return to the agenda. New business? Last chance? Public questions and comments? Public? Closed council meeting. Can I have a motion to close under 91A, C, J, and K? Thank you. And a second? Second. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Who needs a little break? Okay, we're returning from closed meeting at 9:35. One item to report out, and that is that the mayor will call for nominations, or suggestions anyway, for Citizen of the Year award that is always awarded on 1st of July at Canada Day celebration in the next few mayor's updates in the village update. I believe that's all that we're reporting out from closed at this stage of the game. More to come.
Move to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn and it's seconded. All in favour? Opposed? That carries. Meeting adjourned.